Yo, what is going on? It is Andy coming to you on a Tuesday. Yes, like most Tuesdays, a packed Tuesday. Tuesdays, Thursdays, always packed. You're shoulder to shoulder, just trying to get your sniffs in. But, typically throughout the season, I was kind of like overwhelmed. It's like, there's just too many to go through. Let's focus on just a few. But, there are only so many Tuesdays and Thursdays left. I mean, before you know it, just in a few short weeks, it's kind of like I looked up and then my kid went to college. That's what this season has been like. We're already in the final month. I know somebody was saying in the comments the other day, like, are you serious? Are we really at the end of the season? Yeah, we're a few weeks away from the playoffs. And in a matter of time, we're going to have these games on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Saturdays cut by 50%. So on these big slates like tonight, I'm really going to try to find a bunch of things on the slate. And I must say, in the past, especially these last 2-3 months, it was an overwhelming process on a Tuesday. It's like, my God, I don't want to give them too much, but I got to find a couple things that I like. And you really tried to focus in on a few things. But this was the first time I looked at a Tuesday slate and I said, there's a lot that I like. Do you want to know what I do, by the way, when I'm trying to find some sniffs, initially some kind of pizzeria-esque picks? I think a standard player prop counts as a pizzeria pick. Like just an individual player prop, I think that counts as a pizzeria pick. So I typically hit the points tab and I just scroll from top to bottom. And I usually use Bet365 for this because if you go to the points tab, it starts with the most expensive point in the game and then it goes down to the cheapest. So I just start scrolling down, hoping there's a good value because I kind of know the news with each team. And I know, for example, should we start off talking about the main game on this slate? Number 1 in the East versus number 1 in the West, yet number 6 and 7 to win the Stanley Cup in terms of favorites. We're talking about the Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals. I saw one tremendous value on each side, but let's talk about the game for a second. You obviously have the Jets, who have been doing exactly what they've always done these last couple of years in order to win. Holding teams down, playing great defense, getting a lot of production from that top line, and finding enough supplementary scoring, which you don't need that much when you have Connor Hellebuck in there and you're holding every team under the sun to 2 or fewer. And just Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. You guys know why I criticized the Winnipeg Jets last year. I said you fell for the pressure. You allowed the fans to bait you into getting 2 offensive players. So you got Toffoli, you got Monahan, and then it threw your whole defensive scheme out of sync by chasing more goals. And the result was the Colorado Avalanche just blitzing you every single game in the playoffs. You didn't fall for it. You didn't take the bait. You didn't take the cheese, the Swiss cheese, for lack of a better term. You just stood pat. I know fans are going to criticize you when you play like the Winnipeg Jets. Not if you're the Avalanche. They needed to switch up some things there. They needed depth. They needed more offense outside of the top couple of players. But when you're the Winnipeg Jets and you win in the exact fashion that you do, you only need players who fit exactly into that system. However, your main offensive contributors need to be around. You can't just be losing critical pieces to the puzzle. And that's exactly what happened in the last game. Of course, it happened right after the trade deadline and not right before. It looks like Gabe Vilardi is going to miss an extended period of time. I don't know if the reports I read were correct, but it looks like he's out regular season and maybe a chunk of the playoffs. They're not going to have Gabe Vilardi, a winger on that line that was just cemented all season long. They found their groove last season, picked up this season, and even built on it further. I mean, how many times have we said that? Vilardi, Connor, Scheifele. Well, Vilardi's now gone. So that throws a huge monkey wrench into this Winnipeg Jets season. Who is going to step up and fill that void? One Italian's down. They're rolling in another one from that LA Kings trade when they sent Dubois to LA. Alex Iafallo is going to get that first crack at it, so he's going to be up there on that top line. But do you want to know what I'm seeing is a great value? When I'm seeing Cole Perfetti at like a plus 135 or plus 130 point prop, this is a home game for Winnipeg, and I like him for a point at plus 135. And then on the other side, you're going to hear me say this a lot today. There are incredible, I've been telling you guys this for kind of weeks now, incredible values for defensemen. There are plenty of those today, but they're not bums. Not bums. They're not like complete unknowns. Some of these players we've taken, and for whatever reason, maybe because the total's lower or because they're playing a tough team in a tough spot, we're getting fantastic prices on some of these defensemen. Jacob Chychrun, who's running the top power play for the Washington Capitals, he's coming in at like plus 170 for a point. And even if he gets ruled out because he got banged up in the last game, John Carlson's point is plus 140. However, it almost becomes null and void because when it comes to this game without Velarde, I think this is going to have to be a Winnipeg Jets hold that team to 2 or fewer. I want to take the Washington Capitals under 2.5 goals because I think this Velarde absence is actually going to kind of inspire the Jets to play even harder. And I think they're going to hold Washington to under 2.5 goals. But me, I don't even need to click that. I'm taking the under on Ovechkin. I'm going Alex Ovechkin under half of a point. It's in Winnipeg. You know they're going to do their job. You know you got Hellebuck. Plus 130 under half of a point for Alexander Ovechkin in that game. And I do lean Winnipeg there. I would go Winnipeg and under 7.5 in that game versus the Washington Capitals. If Washington goes right in there and beats Winnipeg handily, you're going to have to take your cap off for one hell of a season for that Washington Capitals squad. But I think there's a reason that Winnipeg's minus 140 in the game, and I think they're going to find a way to win it. You know, there are many people who will start out west. And how about we talk about another one? The LA Kings, who are just fully waxing everyone. They have the best home record in the NHL, and it's pretty astounding. I think they have 3 regulation losses at home, and they got the New York Rangers heading into there. And I'm going to bring up a tweet that I saw about the top line of the LA Kings. These people were being facetious, saying, I don't know what you want to call these guys. Going to be tough to give them a nickname because if you see their last names, they start with a certain letter. And if you put that letter 3 times, you're not going to want to hear what that nickname is. However, if you're looking for a nice, marketable, simple nickname for Andrei Kuzmenko, Anze Kopitar, and Adrian Kempe, call him Big Slick, AK. That's what the Ace King is in poker. They call it Big Slick. And I got news for you. Kopitar's big. Kempe's big. Have you ever seen Kuzmenko in those interviews? He's kind of funny. AKA Pretty Slick. AKA. Big Slick, that line connected in 2 straight games. I mean, what do you think? A top line on the LA Kings, all 3 guys on the top power play? Can't be pulling. What is that pulling? Like a plus 275, plus 425 for the top line of the LA Kings. Andrei Kuzmenko, Anze Kopitar, and Adrian Kempe. Big Slick.
Okay, he's done.
Then moving on from there, I'm going to hope to find a little bit of ruck. Anytime you get those Buffalo Sabres, hopefully you can kind of include a little bit of ruckus. Find some ruckus and a little bit of offense. Because when you want to talk about line combos, the Ottawa Senators are going to provide us the opportunity to rip all 3 lines. That's not always the case, but in a couple different instances, you can smack all 3 lines, and the value gets better as each line keeps going. So for the Ottawa Senators, and in the last game, I believe all 3 lines hit. So against the Buffalo Sabres, who you know you can score against, you guys obviously know about the Stützle Tkachuk. That's just a plus 120. Hey, plus 120 could be a lot worse. But how about just that point for former Buffalo Sabre, who's been red hot, Dylan Cousins, his points coming in at plus 120. If you need a pizzeria pick, that one's good right there. But him and Drake Batherson, second line top power play have connected in, I think, 3 to 4 straight games, or 4 of the last 5 against the Buffalo Sabres, plus 280, absolutely. And then since they rejiggered the lines, they moved Fabian Zetterlund to the top line to try to get him going with Stützle and Tkachuk, and they sent Giroux down to the third line. I love when they do things like that, because now I can take Ridley Gregg for a point and Claude Giroux for a point. That's going to put you over plus 400. If I were to ask you who's going to win this game, judging by the odds, you'd probably think it was the Ottawa Senators. If the Senators are going to win, how many goals do you have? That their team totals at 3.5. So if you think they're going to win, it's probably at 4 goals. If 4 goals go in, I think 2 of those 3 are hitting, and obviously they're all plus money in varying degrees. That, once again, is the whole premise of the line combo. So if you need a pizzeria play in there, just take that Dylan Cousins point. It's a great value, and then just start chopping those line combos for the Ottawa Senators. Now let's go to Carolina. Yeah, there's no rhyme, but we're going all over the country. We're touching every single corner. Let's go to Carolina, where they're facing the Nashville Predators. I told you there were all sorts of values for defensemen on the top power play. We smacked one earlier with Jacob Chychrun. There's one that's a little bit scary, because obviously Carolina can play good defense, but I think we maybe could find Carolina sleeping a little bit. It's the first game back after the West Coast trip. Usually you come out a little slow in a game like that. We all know about that. And we got the Nashville Predators. The first time I've seen him listed, the power play 1 defenseman. No, it's not Brady Shea. It's Nick Blankenburg. His point, plus 190. And as you can see, he's weaseling points in these Predators games. The points that used to go to Yossi and then potentially Shea. I mean, just a plus 190 for a power play 1 defenseman on a power play that does have Stamkos and Marchessault and Forsberg. I understand that Nashville's awful, but that's a fantastic point prop price, which is why I don't mind also doing him for an assist with a Philip Forsberg point. And we're really stacking here. We're really stacking. And on the Carolina side, Taylor Hall's coming off a hat trick. That line tore it up. They gave us fantastic prices. Line 2, power play 2 combo. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Jack Roslovic. Both of them for a point. Another big fat plus 350. You see all these picks, you bet 30%, it's guaranteed wins. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you in the mindset of doing this. It's a tough night for just, oh yeah, I like this team to win, because I see so many great values when it comes to the point props. But I will tell you this, we got the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota, they just got shut out last night. We know offense is a problem for them. When they win games, they have to hold the other team to 2 or fewer. Unfortunately for them, they're going to have Fleury in this game, so it's not like they're going to have Gustafsson, who's been playing incredible, even played well last night in that loss. It was really only 2-0, and then Dallas scored an empty netter. But Vegas is playing fantastic, and after that shutout, playing the very next night, I'm going to take Vegas to hold Minnesota to 2 or fewer on the second half of back-to-back. So now, yeah, I'm a little bit worried because you're going to have a motivated Minnesota team who just got shut out, but still, Vegas is playing incredible. They're holding other teams down. And I'm going to take Minnesota to go under 2.5 goals at home against the Vegas Golden Knights. But if that's not enough and you need even more, you know where you can get them. You get the full assortment, all the line combos, anything that I might add, any information that I might add to the posts about the picks, about the sniffs, about the combos. You can get that over on the Patreon. You can also just join if you want to support the stuff that I do here, the content that I put out. You are my lone advertiser. You are a minority owner of this show. You go on a date. Girl asks you, what do you own? Do you own a house? No. Do you own a car? No. Well, what do you own? I own some of this show called Andy's NHL Sniffs. And, you know, the stock's only going one way. All right, I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. If you can't do that, you don't want to join over there, at least do those free things for me. Like, comment, subscribe, call your dad, tell him that he's a great guy. Unless he's not, then click the notifications. I'll see you tomorrow.
Ahoy, me hearties, it be the Parlay Pirate. Pardon me lack of pirate garb, for I needed to blend in. But I'm checking in on you to make sure you're following Andy's videos. Ahoy, from sea.